In the relentless rush of modern life, where instant communication and non-stop visibility are celebrated as hallmarks of success, the most powerful people distinguish themselves through the very opposite behavior, by appearing less. This counterintuitive principle, that power increases through strategic scarcity of presence, has been a secret weapon wielded by history's most influential figures and thinkers. It is a lesson Machiavelli made clear centuries ago, though often misunderstood or ignored in today's world of hyperconnectivity. Power is never simply about how often you show up. True power lies in controlling when, how, and to whom you make yourself available. By limiting your appearances, you create an aura of importance and control that commands attention, respect, and influence far beyond what constant visibility can achieve. Human psychology is wired to respond strongly to scarcity. From an evolutionary perspective, scarce resources have always been more valuable because survival depended on acquiring what was rare and difficult to obtain. This primal wiring extends beyond material goods to social dynamics and personal presence. When a person is overly available, always responding instantly and saying yes to every demand, they inadvertently signal that their time and attention are abundant, and thus, less valuable. The result is a dilution of influence. Their presence becomes background noise, easily overlooked and underappreciated. Conversely, when someone carefully manages their visibility, being selective about when and how they engage, they trigger a subconscious recognition of high value. Their absence creates a tension that piques curiosity and increases desire, compelling others to pay more attention and place greater importance on every interaction. But this is not a game of avoidance or cold detachment. The power of appearing less is rooted in deliberate and thoughtful engagement. It requires a deep understanding of one's priorities and an unyielding commitment to protecting time and emotional energy. When powerful individuals choose to appear, their presence carries weight and significance precisely because it is rare and intentional. This scarcity breeds respect and positions them as leaders rather than followers. The contrast between availability and scarcity becomes a defining marker of status and influence, shaping not only how others perceive you but how you perceive yourself. The discipline to resist the urge to be constantly present cultivates internal strength, clarity, and autonomy, qualities that radiate as magnetic authority. In the context of social and professional relationships, managing availability is a profound demonstration of self-respect and strategic power. Saying yes to every request, attending every event, and being immediately reachable at all times signals a lack of boundaries and diminished personal value. Those who do this inadvertently diminish their standing in the eyes of peers, subordinates, and even loved ones. On the other hand, those who assertively establish limits on their time communicate that their attention is a privilege, not a right. This dynamic reverses typical power imbalances and forces others to elevate their behavior and intentions to meet these higher standards. Boundaries thus become an unspoken declaration of worth, demanding recognition and fostering deeper respect. Throughout history, the rhythm of presence and absence has been a critical tool for leaders and influencers. Napoleon Bonaparte, for example, was not omnipresent. He was a master of dramatic and strategic appearances. By controlling his visibility, he cultivated an aura of unpredictability and importance that kept allies and enemies alike attentive and uncertain. His deliberate scarcity made every public appearance a momentous event, amplifying his influence beyond what constant presence could achieve. Similarly, Winston Churchill understood the power of selective engagement. His wartime leadership was marked by carefully timed speeches and appearances that galvanized the British public. By not saturating the airwaves or public forums, Churchill ensured that when he spoke, his words carried unparalleled weight and urgency. This pattern extends beyond political leadership into all domains of influence, from business to personal relationships. The most respected CEOs, for instance, are rarely micromanagers present at every meeting and email thread. Instead, they appear selectively, making impactful interventions at crucial moments. This calculated scarcity fosters a perception of control, competence, and elevated status. Employees and peers come to understand that the leader's presence signals importance and that access must be earned through merit and respect. This, in turn, creates a culture of high standards and motivation, further reinforcing the leader's power. Deliberate absence also serves as a protective mechanism for mental and emotional resources. The incessant demands of modern communication can scatter focus, drain energy, and lead to burnout. By limiting availability, powerful people create mental space for deep work, strategic thinking, and emotional recovery. This preservation of internal resources is essential for sustained influence and high performance. It also contributes to the aura of power, as others intuitively sense the focused energy and self-control behind the measured presence. They recognize that such a person operates from a place of purpose and mastery rather than reaction and desperation. Practically applying this principle requires unwavering discipline and self-awareness. It means learning to say no firmly and graciously, prioritizing long-term goals over short-term social gratification, and resisting cultural pressures to be constantly connected. It demands clear communication of boundaries and consistency in enforcing them. Most importantly, it requires confidence in the value of your own time and attention, and internal sovereignty that does not depend on external validation. This confidence transforms scarcity from a defensive retreat into a proactive strategy of empowerment. Moreover, mastering the art of appearing less involves understanding the subtle signals your absence sends. People are naturally inclined to fill in gaps in perception with projections, often elevating the mysterious or scarce figure into a mythic or heroic status. This phenomenon, rooted in social psychology, explains why limited visibility can create outsized influence. When you step back strategically, you allow others' imaginations and respect to expand, building a psychological pedestal around you. This dynamic is not about deception but about harnessing the natural human tendency to assign greater value to what is not always within reach. The psychological principle of loss aversion further amplifies the power of appearing less. Humans are wired to fear losing what they have more than they desire gaining something new. When your presence is scarce but impactful, people begin to fear losing access to you and the benefits you bring, whether it is knowledge, influence, emotional support, or status. This fear motivates them to invest more effort and attention in maintaining the relationship or connection. The strategic management of availability thus creates a powerful emotional bond that secures loyalty and respect. To fully grasp this principle, it is essential to examine common behaviors that undermine it. Many individuals, driven by insecurity or social pressure, fall into the trap of overavailability. They respond immediately to every message, accept invitations indiscriminately, and spread themselves thin across obligations. This pattern often leads to emotional exhaustion and diminished influence, as others begin to expect and take for granted their constant presence. It also erodes internal confidence, as the person's sense of self becomes entangled with the approval and demands of others. Breaking free from this cycle is the first step toward reclaiming power. Cultivating deliberate scarcity requires a mindset shift, from seeking approval through presence to commanding respect through selective engagement. This shift involves redefining what it means to be influential, not as being everywhere or saying yes to everything, but as being strategic, intentional, and sovereign over your time. It means valuing your own life mission and goals above external demands and recognizing that influence is amplified by the quality and timing of your presence, not the quantity. In interpersonal relationships, the principle of appearing less can transform dynamics profoundly. When you are always available, you lose the psychological tension that fuels attraction and respect. Instead, by being selectively present, you create an emotional rhythm of anticipation and appreciation. Loved ones, friends, and colleagues come to cherish your presence more deeply because it is not a given. This dynamic nurtures healthier boundaries, mutual respect, and more meaningful connections. Of course, the balance between presence and absence must be calibrated with emotional intelligence. Too much absence risks alienation and misunderstanding, too little diminishes value and impact. The Machiavellian approach is not to disappear entirely but to master the timing and context of your appearances. It is a dance between connection and distance, engagement and retreat, that requires ongoing self-awareness and adaptability. This mastery also extends to communication styles. Powerful people choose their words carefully, often letting silence or thoughtful pauses speak as loudly as their statements. They avoid the trap of over-explaining or excessive availability for discussion. Instead, their measured communication enhances the perception of control and confidence. This restraint creates space for others to engage more actively and appreciate the value of the interaction. The benefits of mastering appearance and availability are not limited to external perceptions. Internally, this practice fosters greater self-mastery, emotional regulation, and life balance. By controlling how and when you appear, you also control how much emotional and cognitive energy you expend on external demands. This regulation protects you from burnout, enhances creativity, and deepens your sense of purpose. It allows you to operate from a centered place rather than a reactive one, which is the foundation of enduring power. In today's digital age, this principle is more vital than ever. The constant barrage of information, social media pressures, and virtual connectivity can trap individuals in a cycle of compulsive availability. The ability to step back, create distance, and appear less is a radical act of power and sanity. It sets you apart in a landscape dominated by noise and distraction, making your presence a beacon rather than white noise. To conclude, the art of appearing less is a timeless Machiavellian strategy that underpins true power and influence. It leverages deep psychological principles of scarcity, loss aversion, and perception control to elevate your standing in any social, professional, or personal context. It demands discipline, self-respect, and strategic vision, but the rewards are profound, commanding respect, fostering deep connections, and operating from a place of internal sovereignty. In a world obsessed with constant availability, mastering the rhythm of presence and absence is your ultimate advantage.